going on, everyone? It's me, Bernie, again from Everything Dogs, and today we are going to show you all how to train your dogs to sit. I'll demonstrate this with my dogs Hugo and Heidi first, and then we will have a go at training one of our indie puppies who live near my home. So before getting into it, I want to cover some basics. Training your dog is kind of like a journey that requires commitment, dedication and consistency over a period of time. So it would be unrealistic to expect results overnight. It also requires us humans to control our energy and emotions, and that in itself requires us to train ourselves. I know it sounds funny, but we do need to train ourselves in order to train our dogs. I wish it was easier, but dogs don't understand everything we try to say. And so, it is vital that we learn to use our emotion, energy, and body language, and an effective reward system based on positive reinforcement in order to get the message across to your doggos on what you want them to do. Positive reinforcement is simply rewarding good behavior, and negative reinforcement is punishing bad behavior. In my experience, positive reinforcement is the way to go, as it helps you to bond with your dog, and negative reinforcement can result in the dog developing fear. And the last thing you want is the dog to fear you. Remember, a scared dog is an unpredictable dog. There are several proven methods in training your dogs, but in this video, I'll be covering what I think is probably the easiest method, which is rewarding your dog every time he or she obeys your command with a nice doggy treat. A doggy treat is something that your dogs love to eat, and preferably not something that is part of their regular diet. Not all dogs are driven by food, so offering them something that is available normally might not motivate them enough for training. You can find some doggy treats in most pet stores pretty easily. Make sure this treat is only available during training time. This will ensure that your dog feels that it is worth his or her time. Now that we are done with our basics, let me explain the method itself. So in order to get them to sit, one of the things we need to do is use the treat as a lure and position it right above their noses. This needs to be done in a slow but steady motion, allowing the smell of the treat to lure your dog into a posture where their nose is up in the air, trying to get a whiff of the treat. Your dog may not immediately sit as a response to the lure, but after repeating it a sufficient number of times, you will find that the dog will sit up and look at the treat. It is also possible that your dog will try to grab the treat from your hand. You must discourage this behavior by simply ignoring him and try again. If you feel that this is not working, you can try to gently push their lower backs down and see if they respond to that pressure by sitting. The key here is to keep trying, so don't give up. Once your dog goes into the sitting position, you want to then gently make the treat available to them by thrusting it towards their mouth, at the same time affirming with your voice that he or she has done well. So it could be a good boy or a good girl, or whatever your dog responds to the best. What you also want to achieve here is to help your dog to understand that this is what you want them to do when you say the word sit. We can do this by repeating the word sit as they perform the action and as you affirm their obedience. I would also recommend touching your dog lovingly as you acknowledge the good behavior. Let's give this a go, guys. You guys remember Hugo? He's somewhat of an expert at sitting. You can see that the minute he knows that I'm holding the treat, he will automatically go into a sitting position. So I'm going to try this method on Hugo. Hugo, come. Sit. Good boy. So if you notice, the moment he sat, I pushed the treat right up to his mouth. So I'm not able to demonstrate the lure for Hugo because Hugo's been trained for almost 7 years, and he knows that I have the treat with me. He just knows it. He sits immediately. But let me try it. He knows the treat is in my hand, so if I put it next to his nose, he follows that. So an important point to note here is that dogs are more sensitive with their nose and they follow their nose more, their sense of smell more than their sight. So I put the lure in front of his nose so he follows me. Hugo, come. Hugo, come. Hi. You can see how he sat. I'm just going to try once more. Hugo, come. This side. Hugo, sit. Hugo, sit. Good boy. We have to make the dog understand that treats equal rewards for obedience. Hugo, sit. Good boy. And make sure we touch them lovingly, because dogs really love our attention and our love. So we have to make sure that we verbally even say good boy or good girl to the dogs when they obey us. So this is positive reinforcement. Good boy, Bob. Good boy. So we are back with Heidi. We're going to try the same method with Heidi as well. Heidi, come. So if you can see me, I'm using the lure for her, and I'm putting it right up so that her head goes up like this, and a natural response to that is to sit. And the moment she sits, we have to give her the treat, and we have to tell her, good girl, sit. Good girl, sit. That's the way to make them follow your command. I'll show it to you one more time. Heidi, come. Heidi, come. You see that? How she sits when I lift the treat up? That's how we should do it. Good girl, sit. Good girl, sit. Next up, we're going to try this with one of the dogs that we haven't trained before. Carlos. Do you guys remember Carlos? Carlos was featured in my first ever video. If you haven't seen that, I will link it up right here for you guys. Let's see if Carlos will respond positively to the treat and if I can convince him to sit. Carlos, come boy. He's very suspicious right now. Carlos, come. Carlos, come. So we are going to use the treat as a lure, and we are going to make him smell it. He likes it, so we will use that and motivation for him to sit. See, that's it. Carlos, sit. As you can see, I'm doing that same motion I did with Hugo and Heidi, where I'm using the lure to lift his head up, and I'm hoping that he will sit, because that should be his natural tendency when his face comes up. Yawning is a sign that he is irritated. In this case, he's probably irritated because he can't understand what I want him to do. Okay guys, so Carlos got a bit irritated, so I'm just letting him be. I'm not forcing him to continue to train. It'll take a while, and you might experience this with your dog as well. So a few things here. This is a fairly new surrounding for him, and so it's hard to expect him to overcome that and be ready to get trained in just one afternoon. So if I really want him to learn this command, I'll have to repeat this many times, maybe in the course of the next couple of weeks. And if I do manage to get him to sit, I'll be sure to post an update for you guys. One thing about Carlos, he's one of the dogs that doesn't immediately trust human beings, and so these dogs require a lot more time and patience. It's difficult, but not impossible. But for now, we are going to go ahead and try this with our second street dog. So guys, we have another dog. His name is Scooby. Now if you can notice, he's a very friendly dog. He's one of those dogs who always approaches human beings. Even on the road, he's ready to approach strangers, and he just thinks everybody loves dogs. I'm going to see if I can use the treat to lure him into the sitting posture. He's exploring right now because this is a new environment for him as well. It's always healthy to allow a dog to explore their environment, because they are immediately more comfortable. I'm going to use the same process. I'm going to use a treat to lift his head up and see if he will sit and respond positively. Scooby, come. Sit, sit. Scooby, sit. Scooby, come. Sit, sit. Good boy, good boy. Sit, good boy, good boy. This is the first try. Scooby, come. Sit, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy, sit. So you can see that he has immediately responded. We'll try that again. Let him enjoy his treat for now. So I want to reinforce that behavior has been rewarded with a treat. So I'm going to repeat this as many times as I can so he can understand it better. I'm going to try this once again. Scooby, come. Using the lure. Scooby, sit. Good boy, sit. Good boy, sit. Good boy. So I'm saying good boy and I'm here also repeating the command so he understands that that's what I want him to do. Good boy, sit. Good boy. Good boy, you're a good boy. So for Scooby, I tried 3 times and 3 times were successful. And please make sure that you got to repeat this every day for about 2 weeks and you'll get a dog that's going to obey the sit command pretty soon. Once I start doing this consistently, we can start weaning them off the treat. We can give them the command without it and train the dog to listen to you without any treat. And then we can use appreciation and petting to reward them. Good boy, sit. Good boy. You're a star. Champion. I'm so happy. That's pretty much a wrap, guys. We have successfully taught Scooby over here how to sit. As I mentioned before, not all dogs will do this on the first attempt itself, or the first afternoon, or the first week. So you have to be patient and keep trying with these beautiful creatures. I would recommend doing this for 15 to 20 minutes every day for about 2 weeks. It's important to ensure that the feeding of the treat, the vocal affirmation, and the repetition of the command are all synced well together so that your dog receives the message clearly. If this method does not work for you, you can probably try other methods such as click training, which basically uses a sound cue to train your dogs. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, smash that like button. As always, don't forget to subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.